This movie will go over some of the brushes I used in a DVD that I've created called Painterly Faces. This DVD, I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a little bit, but it's taking this image of this young man and using particular brushes that I'm going to explain to you in just a moment here to end up with a final painting here. Let's quickly go over some of the brushes that were used and kind of have a little bit of a review here. Captured bristle being the main brush. Remember to work with your opacities. If you want to get brush strokes that are painterly, you're going to work up around 80 and 90%. Reset about 20 is a good place to start. If you want to smooth some areas, then you want to work 20 to 30% on your opacity with that same brush. So just to give you an idea, we'll make a few brush strokes here with that. Also, viewing at 100%, at least 100%, will give you a good idea of what that brush is doing. You don't want to be too far away with that. Let me just take the ear for an example, and to get a few brush strokes on that ear. Low opacities will kind of smooth, and then the higher opacity will actually add some brush strokes. The second brush over here is grainy water. I use that a lot, and at low opacities, 20 to 30%, to break up some of those edges that we talk about. I think that actually helps in making that painterly look, to have those edges not so defined, not so photographic. So you can kind of get an idea of what that brush does. If you feel like that you've gone too far with the edge, then raise your opacity up some and then just paint back. Let's take that opacity up. Especially when you're working in kind of a dark area over here. So 20 to 30% on the opacity to break those edges up. The next one is the chalk. And the chalk will give you, we'll make sure that we're on a clone position on that. Take that off. The chalk is going to give you some texture within the skin. And let's take the opacity or the reset down a bit on that. Let's try to get a feel for what that's doing. So we can see that let me take the reset up. You get a little feel for that, adding a little texture into the skin. Another thing the tapered chalk is, I think, is good for, if you're using in the color position and your reset is down and you want to add some highlights that look a little bit more like real reflections on the nose. Now this is obviously not painted here, but you get the idea. So that's a real possibility there. Kind of gives you a scattered look to the highlight, which is a little more believable than just a smooth one that you might have. The sponge tool. All right, let's bring the opacity up on that sponge tool and the reset up on it to bring back some of the original image. Let's go more with the opacity. Now you can really see where this sponge tool is throwing some texture into that skin. And keep in mind, you can go back with lower opacities on your captured bristle, smooth some of that out that you don't want. Okay, let's go on to the next one, the tiny splattery airbrush. A little bit hard to say there. Okay, let's see what we can do with that. Keeping the opacity kind of low, create some texture in that skin. And again, you can take your captured bristle and smooth some of that out, so we don't have just a smooth complexion when you're dealing, especially with a man. Again, babies are a different story. The real round, I didn't go over that too much, but the real round is in the real bristle brush category. And if you remember, we used that on the hair, where we had gone over the hair with the captured bristle, and it had kind of a smooth look, but yet when we went to the we overpainted that with the real round. We started bringing back some of the hair. If you'll check this brush out, it will actually add some things into the skin. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's take the opacity up so we make sure we can see that. You see the lines and actually brush, almost like brush hairs. That's creating a texture also. So there's another possibility that once you've painted that, and I'm going in different directions here, a little crisscross motion, and that that's definitely creating some texture within that skin. Okay, and obviously the saturation add will pump up the color in just specific areas that we might want to deal with. Lips, the end of the nose, cheeks, and the sergeant's brush is another way to add some texture to that. And the only way I can really get and this is going in different directions. Let's take that brush size down a little bit. Let's take the strength up. So experiment with especially that sergeant's brush, and you can definitely create some painterly look to the skin. Keeping in mind always that you can go back and smooth any painterly effect that you've got down to the point where you're a little bit more comfortable with it. So that's just a little review of the brushes that were used in this video, in the Painterly Faces video. And as you just use this as a starting place, and then as you discover other brushes, you can introduce those in to create effects that will make that skin look more painterly. Hope that helps. Okay, let's take a look at the image. This is where we started with the image, and the review of brushes that I just went over with you. We took that image from here to the finished painting. I'll give you a full view of that. And if you'd like to see the full painting, I have a DVD offering for you. And if you'll go to www.ramseyphotography.com, where you can see more photography and also more painting. And then at the very bottom there, after you get into the website, go to where it says blog and more. Once you click on that, you'll see three choices there. One will be for photographers. Click on that button and it'll show you the DVDs that I have offered showing the painting techniques that I use to create the paintings. Thank you.